Yep.
How are you doing?
Doing good. We got about 2 minutes. I see. Who's going to be handling the meeting today? You or Miss Black?
Me.
Okay, great.
And I've gone over everything with Miss Only, so I'm here. She's right here next to me. I got Angela on one side of me. I got Miss Only on the other, so I've got my team of people with me.
Ms. Barron, good afternoon to you also.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Doing good.
Hello, Miss Mathis.
Hi there. How are you?
Good.
I'm going to mute myself, y'all. If you need me, just let me know.
Okay, I've got 3:30 on the official Richland County computer, so I will call the meeting of the April 20th, 2021 Rules and Appointments Committee to order. If Ms. Mathis, you would call the roll, please.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Malinowski,
I'm here.
Miss Barron,
Here.
Miss Mackey,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Okay. Welcome, Miss Mackey. You snuck in. I didn't see you there.
Hello.
All right, the number 2 on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from April 6th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, if you'll call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, next we have adoption of the agenda. Ms. Mathis, any additions, deletions, or changes that we should
No,
be
sir.
aware of?
No, sir.
Okay. Anything from any of my colleagues, Ms. Barron or Ms. Mackey?
No,
If-
sir.
If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as it stands in front of us.
Move to approve.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Ms. Mathis, call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, next order of business, we've got interviews. Under 4A, there are 4 interviews, and we're continuing with the Community Relations Council. How many are left to interview for this particular council?
4.
4 more left. Okay. And I guess we'll have those at the next meeting then.
So is it four left of our pool or just 4 today?
4 for the whole pool.
4 more for the pool. Okay.
Great.
I don't think that's right.
I'm sorry. Can you
In
repeat
addition
that?
to the 4 in front of us, I think what they're saying is we've got 4 more, correct?
That's correct. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, and I was just saying, based on the list that's included in the agenda, it appears that there are more than 4 more, unless these people have been contacted and they are not interested.
Oh, you're going back to the list of all the
Of
applicants?
applications.
Yeah, Miss Only, maybe you could explain that,
for the
please.
Community Relations Council.
Miss Mackey, you were breaking up a little bit. You may want to restate that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. No, I was just clarifying based on the list that is in our agenda packet, based on the applications that we received for the Community Relations Council. From what I see, there's more than 4 more left to interview, unless we're saying that we have contacted some of these folks and they are no longer interested.
Hold on one second. Miss Only is going to speak.
Yeah.
Ms. Mackey,
Yes.
the only ones that are left to interview are the ones that are unincorporated. The ones that are in Columbia, we're not interviewing because they also appoint to Columbia, to Community Relations Council.
So have we notified them that they are not going to receive an interview for this, even though they submitted an application?
I'm not sure if Ms. Black has reached out to them yet or not, but if she hasn't, I'll have her reach out to them.
And was that included on our application that you would not receive an interview if you
No,
lived in?
it's not listed on the actual applications.
So I have concerns about that.
Yes, ma'am.
As well. I think that now that we have this, we've addressed this challenge. Definitely we want to look at how do we fix it, but then if we have several applicants for instance, for the city of Columbia, will we share that information with the city from this point?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, if I could add something here for clarification, it's my recollection that if it wasn't the last meeting, it was the one before, that I made the inquiry about the fact that the city of Columbia actually appointed to this Community Relations Committee. And when we were told yes, it was brought out that, okay, then we need to advise any applicants moving forward. We have to ask them immediately, did they reside within a municipality, specifically the city of Columbia? And if they do, we have to direct them to the city to make their application. And I thought that was what we discussed and what was understood. So if it hasn't been done, I would request that, as Ms. Mackey and Ms. Barron are saying, that we do that these people should be contacted and advised that they have to make their application through the city of Columbia since they reside in the city of Columbia.
I think that was Ms. Only's understanding as well, and I believe that we are in the process of doing that.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Any further
Chair.
discussion? Yes, Ms. Mackey.
And so I think it also needs to be noted, the application must address that. Like, we cannot use the same application and then expect an applicant to assume that. And so right now we've accepted applications from, it appears, about 8 folks that will not get a phone call. And we've had this application since March 5th. And so I think we need to, in addition to know that needs to be reflected moving forward.
I understand what you're saying. I think it can be resolved because the application for committees and are that's contained on the website, it's a generic application and it said must reside in Richland County. I think we need to put on there, please see information for a specific committee, board, or commission. And in the description in the qualification section that we were working on, that's where it needs to be listed for any of them that another municipality appoints members to. Then it has to be mentioned in there. If you live within another municipality other than unincorporated Richland County, you must apply through them for this board, committee, or commission. So that's, I don't know if anything's been worked on since the last time, because we did discuss making some changes to the actual descriptions to get away from qualifications to preferred, not qualifications, but preferred items that you would have. Preferred experience, I guess I would use that term. So, and Ms. Only, is that something that you're working on then?
Yes, sir. Ms. Mathis and I are meeting about that in the coming week.
Okay. I think the first thing, as was mentioned by Ms. Mackey and Ms. Barron, I think the first thing that needs to be done, it really should be done this week, is contact all individuals who have applications in that reside within the city of Columbia and advise them they'll have to make their application through the city.
Yes, sir. I'll make sure that happens.
Okay. Any other discussion?
I just want to clarify or make sure that it is clear that that is for all boards, not just community relations.
No,
At
that's
all.
it's not for all boards. It's for all boards where the other municipality also appoints, like CMRTA would be another one. But
Okay.
if we've got the planning commission, well, I'd like to see it only unincorporated Richland County, because that's what we're acting on, is unincorporated. If you reside in the county, you're eligible to apply for that, because the city, I don't know if they have their own planning commission or not, but that's where we need to find out on any of these things that we have here. If there is no additional board, committee, or commission within another municipality, then anybody can apply into the Richland County one.
Mr.
Barron?
Chairman. Yeah, so I wanted to just make sure also that we reemphasize the point, because we did make a decision several meetings ago to take applications ongoing, that we make the correction to this existing application in some sort, so that it's reflective, the changes are reflective on the application that's on the actual website. So some of these items are just action items that really have to take place quite quickly, as we are continuing to take application throughout the entire year.
Yeah, you're correct. You're saying we need to take it, I guess I'd call it administrative or staff action to correct somewhat of a fault in the system.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir. And Mr. Ratio did have her hand up. I don't know if you saw it.
I do now. Thank you, Mr. Ratio. Go ahead.
Hi, yes. As someone whose district is mostly within the city of Columbia, I would just advocate for, folks who would be in my district, probably Mr. Livingston's district, Ms. McBride's district. All of those people would be sort of disenfranchised from being able to serve on a Richland County board or commission if this were upheld. And my question is this something that you all the committee is proposing to be brought before full council? Or, my understanding was that this was sort of a kind of an agreement amongst council members, but not in any way formalized.
Well, we'll have to formalize it in the rules when we get those completed. We've had legal weigh in on this before, and regardless of whether an individual represents a portion of a municipality in their district or not, the purpose for doing this was, if Richland County appoints 5 people and Columbia appoints 5 people, and Richland County appoints 5 from unincorporated and 5 from Columbia, Columbia still gets 5 more. So they have the majority on a particular board when it's supposed to be a 50-50 board. And that was the reason behind it. Ms. McLean, could you weigh in on that, please?
I think that's an accurate description of what we discussed. I mean, what we talked about is you don't have to exclude the City of Columbia citizens from your boards and committees, but I think where there is a board and committee where they also appoint, that it is acceptable to exclude them because they have an opportunity to be on that as well.
Correct. That was what I was believing also. Thank you.
Okay, and just one follow-up there, if I can.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So for instance, there are some places in District 5 that are maybe unincorporated Richland County, because they have, you know, a green roll cart for their recyclables or whatever, instead of a blue one for the city. But they would be allowed to apply for this border commission, even though they may, for all intents and purposes, live inside the city of Columbia, but their neighbor across the street that has a blue roll cart for their recyclables would not be able to apply for this border commission.
That would be correct. That's probably one of the donut holes that would exist, whereby you've got neighbors that one is within the city, one is not within the city.
And just to kind of wrap this all up with a bow, if someone is appointed to Richland County, so for instance, I live in the city of Columbia, but when I come to city council, I advocate for the interest of Richland County as a whole and as a government. And I would assume that anyone that would apply from the city of Columbia for these boards and commissions could also advocate on behalf of Richland County as a whole, rather than particularly their interest in the city of Columbia. The city is still within the county. All these other municipalities are still within the county. We all pay property tax, and we should all be able to serve.
As long as there's no prohibition against advocating for the county when you're on a city board, that's true as far as I'm concerned, and vice versa.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Ms. Mackey.
And I just, Ms. Horatio, I just want to make sure we're clear in your understanding. This does not apply to all. So it only applies to the ones where the city of Columbia already appoints as well. So I think the example Mr. Malinowski gave was like the planning commission. So someone residing in the city of Columbia could also serve on our planning commission. But for the Community Relations Council, where the city of Columbia already has seats, we don't want to create a system to where it's unfair, where some of our folks that are in unincorporated Richland County are not included.
Thank you. I hear that. In the instance of, say, the planning commission, we have separate planning commissions. The city has one, the county has one. Any citizen of Richland County, I believe, should be able to serve on the Richland County Planning Commission. I understand about, you know, what you're saying about representation. Say, I don't know, for instance, maybe the fire commission would have someone from the city and someone from the county. But still, I want to be adamantly on record that I would not want to disenfranchise any citizen of Richland County, regardless of their municipality, because we are all taxpayers here.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, we get back on target here. This was sort of a conversation that got on a tangent when we got to the interview section, and that can be discussed when it gets to the boards, committees, and recruitment later. But we've got individuals who we must interview today. And while we won't be appointing, we need to get these interviews completed, and we can get on with discussions about how this other matter is going to be handled, either later in the meeting or in another meeting, and send it to the full council at that point. So do we have in order McNeil, Harrison, Hunter, and Rush available today?
Yes, I believe we do.
Okay, then we just, we wait here and you put up, you take us to another room, or we hit a button to go to another room, and we'll start with Keisha McNeil.
One moment, and I believe that we are making that happen right now.
Thank you.
Are Ms. Tracio and Ms. English, even though they're not on, they're joining them, correct? Yeah.
Yes.
Jessica, and who did he say was first?
McNeil. Keisha McNeil.
I do not see- oh.
Okay, we are all back, it looks like. We conducted 3 interviews. We didn't conduct any other business, even though I tried. Miss Barron caught it and said, go back where we belong. So here we are. We are now at item number 5 on our agenda, items for action. And this is where we can continue any discussion about the board's committees and commissions recruitment. I don't see Miss Teresa here. Does anyone have any additional comments? I would like to see the comments that we had mentioned the last time, to have the actual committee information changed to include what was discussed and exclude what was discussed, so we can see in moving forward what we're actually having to work with here. So there's that. And Ms. McLean, is it possible that while we'll have a couple weeks until we meet again, that we could get some language from you as to how it would work when another municipality appoints someone to the same board, committee, or commission that Richland County does, so that we don't have to bear, at least this is my opinion, but we don't have to bear all of the appointing and be appointing people from a municipality who also is appointing individuals. Would you be able?
I'll get you some language, some, couple of different draft choices.
Okay. And then if you, if Ms. Mathis, if you have that incorporated into our next agenda under the boards, committees, and commissions there for some action to be taken on that.
I've got that noted. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this item? If not, we'll move along to 5B.
Mr. Chair.
Wait a minute, hold on. I got Jessica Mackey's hand up. Go ahead, Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. I did want to touch base on a few items that we discussed at our last committee meeting, and making sure that we kind of take action on those if they have not already been handled. And so at our last meeting, when we were discussing recruitment, there was conversation about developing a schedule of which committees are, and I believe Ms. Only was waiting for Ms. Mathis to start to develop that schedule. And so I wanted to fall back up on that and make sure that we can get that schedule.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. Mathis, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to start out by saying, yes, that is my understanding as well. And Ms. Only and I have talked about this quite frequently in the last couple of days that I've been here. And so what we're doing is we're working together to gather a list of all of the vacancies that are out there and match them or marry them with the applicants that we have received. And so we can form a schedule of those applications that need to be reviewed. And so one of the suggestions that she made to me, or that came up in our staff meetings, was that maybe we could set aside 1 or 2 days strictly for interviews. And I wanted to make sure that that was a good idea for you. I know you all have jobs. This isn't your only job. And, if we can set aside, even if it's a half day or maybe 2 half days, where we can just do strictly interviews. And I wanted to put that forward as an idea.
Comments?
So
I think it's
I'm
a great
not,
idea.
I'm not opposed. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that. I just, I think long as there is some type of organization to it where we know, okay, we're doing all of these councils this day, all the interviews for this council the next day, so that at least we know that. I'm not opposed to, multiple days and not just doing it as once a month. I do think we need to have more time so that we can get through this list sooner rather than later.
Well, we do meet more than once a month. I would say that the Rules Committee probably is one of those that meets the most for committees other than economic development, meets quite a bit also. So we meet more than most of the other ad hoc committees. For example, your standing committees of A&F and DNS, they do meet once a month. We normally meet 2 times a month and sometimes even 3 times a month. So when it comes to the actual interviewing of individuals, that's something that's it's been, I'll say, a situation for years, and that we've got to weigh the council business versus the interviews for the boards, committees, and commissions, and to do interviews to the exclusion of the other business at hand, of which we've still got a couple. Well, one large one in getting the rules sorted out and rewritten here to present to the full council. These the interviews are one thing that still must be remembered, that unless somebody actually totally leaves a committee, the rules are all written that even though your term has expired, you are allowed to continue to serve until your replacement comes about. So therefore, nobody's being abandoned out there as far as a committee and not having the necessary amount of people. I would say if you get a notice from some group, let's say the zoo or the planning commission or the whoever it may be, that they have somebody that has left the area, that has totally left their committee, and they don't have enough to get a quorum, then we can move them to the head of the class and try and get applications for them to interview them. But other than that, I mean, I just think it'll be a slower, longer process to get some of these applicants done. For example, right here, this is one good example. These people we're interviewing now, we're going through 12 or 16 total interviews, and there's 8 vacancies. I don't know when the next vacancies are, but this is the situation that when the vacancies exist, what happens as far as us doing the interviews to fill them? If there's 20 applicants, can we interview 10 to fill 5 positions, or do we have to interview all 20 to fill the 5 positions? I don't know. If we keep interviewing people because applications keep coming in, that's why I think a deadline was a good thing, and that once the deadline for applying came about, those are the individuals that would be first interviewed. And then other interviews would be conducted as additional vacancies came about. So just to go ahead and interview everyone and the vacancies aren't there, I see that as what could be very time consuming and not to the benefit of all, because we could interview everyone today and 3 weeks from now, half of those people change their mind and they're not interested. So that's why I think we kind of need to stay in the moment as the vacancies on the different boards, committees, and commissions come up. And then those are my thoughts. That's all.
Mr.
I've got Mr. Livingston and then Ms. Mackey. Go ahead.
Just quickly, going back to the suggestion about, a half day, 2.5 days, whatever, interviewing folks. I mean, I think that's a good idea, at least until you catch up. I'm not sure you probably want to continue. I'm not sure, but it could allow you to catch up with interviews. And also too, a lot of times we have individuals who quit before their term expires. So in that case, they couldn't serve until until term expired, because they've left. So you have to fill that one because you may not have a quorum. So you may need to separate that out from someone term expiring.
That's what I said. That's what I said, Mr. Livingston. if we get notice from a board committee or commission and they say we've got someone that quit and we're having a difficult
Yeah,
time
that's what you're saying.
making
Okay,
a
yeah.
quorum, we have to move them to the head of the list for interviews then.
Yeah. That's what I was, okay. That's
Right.
what you were saying. Yeah,
Right.
I certainly agree with that. Okay, yeah, I just want to make those 2 points. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Ms. Maggie? And
Oh,
then,
yes.
and then Ms. Barron.
I guess I want to kind of address the comment about handling county business. I agree with that. I think that's important as well. And I don't think we have to stop handling, county business. I think we have established meeting dates that we can still handle county business, but there's the ability to add additional dates for interviews. And I do think that the amount of vacancies that we have, that we should really try to cut down on that list and not make folks wait so long when there is a current vacancy to fill it. If they want to serve, we should really make the opportunity easier for folks to serve and volunteer on these committees. And so I do think there is a balance that can be made. It does not have to be all committees, but for ones that we do have the open vacancies on, I think we do need to figure out a way to prioritize those. And it is just important to our constituents to help them serve as it is for us to get the business of the county done. And I think that we can do both of those things at the same time.
Okay, and I'd like to add, Ms. Mackey, to your comments there that I think, and Ms. Mathis, I'm going to direct this to Ms. Only because she's been there handling this. I think we need to see an actual list which just devotes the attention to the vacancies that we have right now where there's a need to fill them. And by that, I mean, if we've got a hospitality tax or accommodations tax, they meet once or twice a year, and it's usually just prior to budget time. Their meetings have probably already been done. Those are vacancies that could be put to the back burner, as Ms. Mackey's saying, let's do the ones that are of importance now. But if we've got, not that they're not all important, but some are more pressing than others, I guess I should say. Like a planning commission one is more pressing than those other two I just mentioned. So if we could see a list, I know you've given us this list here, but there's still some additional information in here that we probably don't need to have in trying to establish which interviews we need to conduct first. In other words, if you could give us what you feel is a prioritized list. Is that correct, Ms. Mackey?
Yeah, just so we know in order, a prioritized list. I mean, I think the spreadsheet you've given has been great to see the applicants we have. I would like to see it updated as well. And so we can see when we've actually interviewed these folks and be able to cross them off and move on so we can dwindle it down and complete the board vacancies that we have.
And we also need to possibly go back and find out if some of these applicants from August, September, October of 2020 are actually still interested in being retained for consideration. Okay, Ms. Barron.
Yeah, I just want to weigh in on the fact of I would like to see us go ahead and really addressing the interview issues. I am committed to getting those done as quickly as possible. The ones that have vacancies, I think when we started this process, we had 60 vacancies. And I think we've only filled one spot maybe since we've been here. And while we have a lot to do as a county and as council, I would like to encourage this committee to set forth some additional hours and additional days if needed, just to attack this list a little bit more aggressively. And I think that is going to allow us to get to what we need to get to, and that's the rules. Because we very seldom have. I think last meeting we were able to get to a couple of items in the rules, but we really, I mean, it's a lot that we need to get to. And if we're spending our time in interviews during our meeting time, I just don't think it's the best use of our time, knowing what we have, this document that we've got to finalize. So I would, Mr. Chair, like to see if we could come up with a schedule where we can just knock out, 10, 15 interviews in a stretch.
Okay, and that was the purpose that we initially took the meeting from 1 hour to 1.5 hours, figuring that we'd have an hour for interviews and a half hour for council business. We can increase it some more if you'd like.
Well, I think that we went from interviewing 3 people to 4 people. So, that third, moving the meeting up, and only adding 1 additional person that we're interviewing, that wasn't aggressive enough. I don't, this wasn't. We got to push. We got to make a hard push here. So
are you saying we're just kind of paddling in the same place here?
Yes, sir. I am.
Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't we consider like a 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock meeting with nothing but interviews? That's 2 hours. That should help to knock something out. And if we
Absolutely.
can get the priorities as to which ones we need to do first, and I guess we'll leave that up to you in the clerk's office, Ms. Mathis, and let us know what they are.
I think that's a great idea, sir. I do.
All right. So I'm all for going from 3 to 5. I guess you and Ms. Mackey would also be favorable with that.
Yes,
I will
sir.
clear my schedule.
Okay. And then, of course, I don't believe Administrator Brown, I don't believe that all your staff would have to be here for those meetings because they're interviews. And as long as you know that their interviews only taking place that day, then your staff would not have to be there because there should be no other questions coming up.
Thank you, sir.
If that's fine with everyone else. So let's do that then. Do we want to start that with the next meeting that we have?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay, so we want to do that on May 4th. The only other option would be the meeting next week. We've got the A&F and the DNS committee meetings. And if there's nothing before that, if you want to do 1 hour, this would be another additional meeting for this.
I think you might have the Transportation Ad Hoc Committee meeting next week, seems like.
We do.
Right, I remember seeing
That's at
that.
4. That's at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I do remember seeing that now. Why don't we do from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock on May 4th, nothing but interviews. Is that all right?
That works.
Yes.
Okay.
And Q, I just wanted to add that we will get
Yes.
an updated list to everyone. And like I said, I'm working with Michelle to get a more robust list so that you will have more information as to the vacancies and who can fill those vacancies and so on and so forth. So we that is in the works. That was discussed. Like I said, we've been having staff meetings. So as soon as I can get that out to you all, that I think that would be a big win for all of us.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
So one other item under recruitment that we discussed at the last meeting was the creation of an online application. And so wanted to follow up with that as well to see if Ms. Only discussed that with Ms. Matthews, and is there any update on that?
Well, as far as I know, we have not had a chance to work on that particular issue, but we are both aware of it.
Okay, so can we have an action item to follow up with IT and find out if that is available to us and what is the time frame and getting that done?
Yes, I've taken that as an action item.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else right now? Do we, if we're done discussing the board's committees and commissions, do we want to move forward and discuss anything about 5B, the rules? I have, I believe we finished with 1.5B. Under B, that was special meetings, and down under that was electronic participation, when we discussed the potential for not having electronic devices in the executive sessions. And then it was brought up that well, some people, what if an emergency comes up? I believe Chair Livingston had mentioned that. And we said we would have to have a phone number that all council members could provide to their to individuals they feel may need to get in touch with them in an emergency. And that number would have to be there and available during council meetings, especially when we go into executive session. Ms. McLean, I see you lit up your screen. Did you have some comments?
No, sir, I just thought y'all like to see me.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. That's good. I like that. Okay, so moving on from that item where we finished last time, what other areas are we in? I actually have we've got a proposed new rule number 7. And under 7, you got A, B, and D. Any comments on that proposed new rule? I know that I would like, my comment has been and always will be, when you go down to 7B, under this administrator's nomination rule, where it says the administrator shall provide an explanation as to why the item could not be routed to council through the committee process or any of the other methods of placement on council's agenda set forth in this other section of the rules, and why committee consideration is not necessary. I would like to emphasize and actually have put in there that just because somebody sent the information late is not a reason to skirt the process we have in place, the committee process. And until we start letting people know that we have rules and we will follow the rules, they're going to continue to try and circumvent the rules. So, Ms. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What page are you on?
Well, in the draft I'm on page 7, the council rules draft, page 7, under proposed new rule number 7.
Thank you.
I couldn't find that, Ms. Nolan.
What's that, Mr. Livingston?
I was asking the same question. I couldn't find the 7, whatever you were saying.
Okay. Yeah, page 7 of the draft that was prepared February 8th, 2021. That's what I'm using. Okay, and there's no other comments on that one. We'll move over to page 8.
Well, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Can I ask, so this proposed new rule,
We can say.
can I ask where this came from? Did this come?
Okay, I can answer that.
Okay,
Sure.
well, can I get just history as far as where it came from? Yes.
The history as far as where that came from, Ms. McLean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is former Assistant County Attorney Brad Farah came up with that when he was rewriting the rules for us and said, hey, here's one you might want to consider. And there it is.
That is correct.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, may I add a little more
Sure.
context?
Sure, go ahead, Ms. Newton.
Just quickly, that is correct that Mr. Farah suggested it. And when he was proposing revisions to the rules, he essentially looked at issues where the parliamentarian was asked to weigh in and what some of the problem areas were. So he wasn't really suggesting rules willy-nilly as much as looking at, number one, where we had issues, but he also conducted a comprehensive review of the South Carolina Association of Counties model rule book. And so he looked at places where they had suggested rules, but we might not, and where we had problems that we might be able to address, so that, in his words, that the rules worked for us as opposed to us working for the rules.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Moving over to page 8 of this draft.
I have several drafts, but not that one.
Well, it originally was prepared June 25th, 2019, and then that struck through and we had an update on February 8th. So if you've got your June 25th one from 2019, that may help get you through, and we only got another few minutes here anyway to get through some of this. But on page 8 of that February 8th, 2021 draft, item number 6, renumbered from number 5, the last bold and underlined sentence says, agenda shall state the reason for executive session. I have a note that that was also on page 4, which has to deal with executive session. So it's mentioned twice in there. So it's covered. At the very bottom of page 8, under the it'd be 7A, agenda items. The third sentence up from the bottom that starts, individual members of council shall not be referred to by name, but instead input should be directed to the full council. I don't have a problem with people addressing you by name, as long as it's not disrespectful, because the chair always mentions that at the beginning of these citizens' input, that please be respectful of one another. And if somebody starts to get disrespectful, the chair can tell them your time's up and ask the sheriff to escort them out if need be. Or in this case, meeting on these meetings, I guess just hit delete. So I don't have a problem, because just like folks like to hear if they are being commended and have done a good job when their constituents speak, we don't shut them up when they say, hey, Ms. Mackey's done a great job in meeting with us and try to work out this rezoning matter. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. They're calling her by name in a polite way. And in the same manner, if they want to say, hey, Mr. Malinowski hasn't met with us, he hasn't taken our concerns at all into consideration, and that's why we're here talking to you. If I didn't do the job, then that should also be part of the record. At least that's my feeling on it. So I don't have a problem in striking that about individuals shall not be referred to by name. I would just like to see it worded that individual council members shall not be mentioned in a disrespectful manner. Ms. Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I don't have a problem with people being mentioned by name as long as it's respectful. Although I will say I've been at a number of meetings where, had that rule not been in place, I felt like it was about to get dicey. I guess my question would be, and I say this with some trepidation, my understanding is that the rule is that when citizens make comments, you are not able to respond. And so that can get in a tricky situation where a constituent can say, well, you know, and I had, you know, constituents say, oh, well, Mr. Malinowski never, ever comes to our meetings and you can't say anything, where the answer may be Mr. Malinowski never comes to your meetings because you meet the first and third Tuesday at 6 o'clock when Mr. Malinowski has to be at Richland County Council. And you laugh, but I have had this example used personally many times. And so I guess just, you know, what is the way to make that balance? Because you certainly don't want to get into a circumstance where you're arguing, but I have seen in my short time instances where it's really used in a divisive way. That's all.
I can see what you're saying, Ms. Newton, but I can also see somebody that's shrewd can come in and say, for example, I'm District 1, and they can say, well, our representative in District 1 never comes to the meetings, and you still can't respond at that point, but they've called you by name in an indirect way. So, Mr. Livingston, I see your hand up.
My concern was the same way that's been already expressed by this news. I'm just concerned when folks come and call your name and don't and state something that's not factual, and then you, like, in order to not look bad, you may have to confront the person or do something. So that's my own concern.
Okay, well, if my
I would deal with that, you know.
I mean, I'm fine. We can leave it that way if that's what my colleagues prefer. I just brought it up for discussion. I also put a note here, see page 14, 2.3, transgression of order. And I don't know, oh, because that has the same thing in there. If repeated cries of order are ineffective, the chair may call a member by name. So is that okay to do then? The chair can call you by name?
That may be sensitive at times.
The public can't, but we can call each other by name, right?
Quite the same body, yeah.
That's all right. How about page 9, the next page? I've had a concern about this particular portion of the rule for a while on agenda items during citizens input. You get people up there and they say, my name's so-and-so, and I'm speaking on behalf of the ABC Homeowners Association. How do I know that? You may be speaking on behalf of 10% of the Homeowners Association, and the others didn't want you to show up and say a word. Just like people get up there and they speak and they say, I'm so-and-so, and I'm a member of the Planning Commission or the Recreation Commission or the Conservation Commission. You may be, but that shouldn't carry any weight as far as I'm concerned with what you want to say if you're there for a personal reason. Because if you're there, if you are on a particular board, committee, or commission, the chair or the members of that board, committee, or commission can send a communication to all of us council members to express what their concerns are. We don't need to hear it from one person down there at a citizens input. So I'd like to see the chair advise at the beginning of each citizen's input that the person can only speak on behalf of themselves. Mr. Livingston.
Now, you may have a person who may be the chair of a neighborhood group. I mean, I'm okay if they say they're the chair of the group without having to say they're speaking on behalf of the group.
But what bearing does that have other than them trying to show that, they may be trying to use that as leverage is what I'm saying.
Thinking, even with leverage, I can see where it could be used for leverage, while at the same time, I think that if I'm sitting there and I have someone who says, yeah, I want to know that they identify with District 7. How else will they be able to state that? If they can't say, well, I'm from Middle Lake.
They can say where they're from. As you just said, you can say, I'm from Middle Lake and I'm here to say, I agree or disagree with this matter that's in front of you. But what I'm saying is, I don't believe they should say, I'm here representing the Meadow Lake Homeowners Association. We don't know if that's a true fact or not, and they may not be. I would hope people wouldn't do that, but how do I know if there's 5 people or 505 people in that homeowners association? And how do I know how many of those people you really are representing? Maybe at the last meeting, there were 10 people there and there's 100 that belong to the group. That's all I'm concerned about, is it could make it sound more forceful as far as the weight you're carrying in representing a group than is actually true.
I don't see what the big deal is. I really don't. And
Okay.
maybe somebody can help me, but I don't see what the big deal is.
Okay, I've got Miss English and then Miss Mackey.
One of the things I need to share with you all is that's already happened with us. We had a gentleman in the Lower Richland community who actually told the administrative staff at Westinghouse that he represents several communities, several areas in our district, and he does not. Had I not been a minister, I would know that I wouldn't have known that he doesn't represent the churches, but that was one of the things that he stated. So yes, that does happen.
Okay, thank you, Miss English, for that info. Miss Mackey? We've only got 2 minutes left and we have to retreat from this wonderful meeting.
Okay, so you're telling me to make it quick?
Yep. You
Okay.
got it.
No, I was going to say, I do think there are situations where someone is coming on behalf of your organization, and there are 30 members in your organization and everyone can't be at the meeting. And so we all agreed on a letter and our president is going to read it on our behalf. And I think that really truly is factual. And I don't know if there's a way to determine if that's true or not. And I wouldn't want to stop people from representing their organizations who organized to do so.
Okay, thank you for that. I could see that happening, just what you said. I'm reading the letter on behalf of the association. I'm the president. The president gave this to me to read. And when they're done, they provide it to the clerk. And then we can all get copies of that. Okay, 4:59. I don't want to cut into Mr. Livingston's meeting. So I would.
Mr. Walker's meeting.
Oh, Mr. Walker's
Motion to
meeting.
adjourn.
Okay, did somebody just say move to adjourn?
Second.
And the second,
Motion to adjourn.
okay, we've got a motion and a second to adjourn. Ms. Mathis, call the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
Barron,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone. See you later tonight.